What if I told you that you could change how you feel on the inside just by changing how you act on the outside? Well, that's the bold, century-old idea from a writer named Orison Swett Marden that we're digging into today. It's a powerful framework for building what he called a victorious attitude from the outside in.
This quote really captures his whole philosophy perfectly. He believed you have to act the part of the winner you want to become. It's a simple but pretty profound idea, right? That your posture, your look, your entire bearing, they aren't just reflections of who you are, but they're actually tools to shape who you're destined to be.
So, what does it actually mean to adopt a victorious attitude? Well, lucky for us, we can break down Marden's entire philosophy into a super clear 4-step framework, all pulled directly from his work. Think of this as our roadmap.
All right, let's jump right into step 1. Marden calls this your personal show window. And it's a great metaphor, isn't it? The idea is simple. Your outward appearance is basically the storefront for your ambition. It's the very first thing the world sees, and it sets the stage for everything else.
Now check out the stark contrast Marden paints here. He says a triumphant look that inspires trust. It makes people want to believe in you. But a look of failure, it does the exact opposite. It creates distrust and just projects doubt. And this isn't about being fake. It's about advertising the winner you are actively working to become.
Marden uses this brilliant little story to illustrate the point. So picture this, the super exclusive, members-only Athenaeum Library in Boston. And this woman, who apparently didn't know the rules, just waltzes right in.
And here's the kicker. Because of how she carried herself with this incredibly confident, self-assured air, the staff just assumed she was a member. She spent the entire morning using all the library's privileges, and not a single person questioned whether she actually belonged there.
And that's the punchline. Her unwavering attitude, her show window, gave her total command of the situation. Her mindset literally opened doors that should have been locked. She got access to resources she otherwise wouldn't have, all because of the attitude she projected.
Okay, so mastering your appearance is just the first layer. Now we have to go deeper, from the external to the internal. And that brings us to step 2, building unshakable faith.
Now, when Marden talks about faith, it's really important to know he's not just talking about a religious idea. For him, faith is the internal engine of achievement. He describes it as this sort of divine link that connects a person to infinite power and, unbounded possibilities. And he really drives this point home with an incredibly powerful statement. Just think about what he's arguing here. Our level of faith directly sets the ceiling for what we can accomplish. It is our own personal limit.
And Marden doesn't just leave this as an idea, he points to history for proof. Think about Moses leading his people out of bondage, or Joan of Arc's absolute conviction that she could save her country. Even Napoleon's unshakable belief that he was a man of destiny. For Marden, these are all prime examples of faith in powerful action.
So you've got the outer appearance, and you're working on that inner faith. But Marden says there's still a major hurdle, the single greatest obstacle to your success. This brings us to step 3, conquering your inner enemy. And he poses this very question. What is this internal enemy, this traitor within each of us that's constantly trying to sabotage our ambition and hold us back? Any guesses what that is?
It's doubt. Marden calls it a subtle traitor because it kills your initiative and strangles genius right at the start, before an idea can even get off the ground. He says it's this one thing that holds millions of people back.
But here's the good news. He doesn't just name the enemy. He gives us a clear strategy to defeat it. This is basically a battle plan for your mind. You neutralize these inner enemies with their direct opposites. You fight doubt with faith. You fight fear with hope and confidence. And you fight inaction with decisive action.
Okay, quick recap. You've mastered your appearance, built up your faith, and you're ready to conquer doubt. Now we get to the final, most transformative step in this whole process. This is where it all comes together. Step 4 is all about making your dreams real.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Marden believed that once your mind is focused and completely free from doubt, it starts to act like a powerful magnet. It literally begins to attract the very things it's concentrated on, pulling in the resources, the people, and the opportunities you need. And this gets to the absolute core of his belief system. Every great achievement has to be created mentally first. The telephone wasn't just built out of thin air. It started as a persistent idea in Alexander Graham Bell's mind. The same is true for great leaders and great companies. It all begins as a visualized dream.
As Marden puts it so perfectly, it is what he does with his brain that counts. This act of mental creation is the first and most critical step. When you tie all 4 of these steps together, you get a complete journey, from mastering your appearance all the way to achieving real-world results.
So where does all this leave us today? I mean, this is a century-old philosophy. How do we apply this in a world that Marden could never have possibly imagined? This quote really sums up the ultimate promise of the victorious attitude, doesn't it? This powerful idea that a concentrated human will, backed by that unwavering faith we talked about, can overcome absolutely any obstacle, even, as he says, walls of granite.
But Marden wrote this in a world without social media, without the 24/7 news cycle, without all the constant digital distractions we face every single day. Which leaves us with a pretty crucial question. In our age of endless comparison and information overload, is this simple, century-old focus on our internal attitude maybe more critical now than ever before? What do you think?